Hey, this is Deepesh, and this is the graduation framework. This is such a core part of this course of how I run Facebook ads. I cannot place enough importance on this module, the graduation framework, and everything inside of it. It is really the thing that powers the whole engine around optimization, profitability, scaling, etc. It's the thing that kind of silently, almost silently runs in the background for a successful campaign or kickstarts a new campaign. So I really hope that you put the time into learning this and understanding it and making the best use of it. So what's the graduation framework all about? It's about identifying profitable audiences. It's about finding those audiences, researching them, finding out who your ideal market is, testing different interests, maybe behaviors, audiences, lookalikes, etc., to find the ones that are resonating best for your outcome, for your product, your offer, etc. It's about finding the right lead offer. Now, you may have an e-commerce product, a digital product, it doesn't matter. Your lead offer is going to be your lead message. It doesn't mean it has to be a discount, but it's that thing that you're going to lead with, the feature, the promotion, the discount. It could be any of those things, but the graduation framework is all about finding what the lead message is, what's your offer, what's the best step forward for you. And then the final part, and for me, one of the most important parts is it gives you a test bed to test your creatives as well. So three key parts of the graduation framework. And it's all about bringing them all together to find the right audience for the right offer with the right creative as a foundation to scaling. Now, if you look at this, you might think, yeah, it's obvious. Get a good audience, give them an offer, and the creative has to be good. But there's a lot more to this. Now, I've spent a lot of my time really getting deep into the auction to understand how the auction works, and that's part of the reason why I'm so successful with Facebook ads. Is that I get the auction. I'm a marketer. I've got left brain, functional brain. I've got right brain, creative brain, all kind of working away. But when it comes to winning the auction, getting the best price for your ads, getting the best performance, the best quality customers, etc., you do need to understand the auction. And it comes down to this. So this is directly from Facebook. Our goal is to match the right ad to the right person at the right time. This is different than a traditional auction because the winner isn't the ad with the highest monetary bid, but the ad that creates the most total value. I just want to emphasize that Facebook are trying to give the user the best experience as possible. It's not about you as an advertiser and how much money you can make out of Facebook. It's about how Facebook can keep the user happy. That's the bottom line for all of this. If Facebook doesn't have happy users, and that there've been lots of cases recently and over the years where people haven't been happy, then people start to leave Facebook, and that damages Facebook far more than you spending less money on them. So Facebook's number one priority is the user and the user experience, and then it's to make money, and it's to make money from you to monetize the users as well. And your goal is then to align your goal with Facebook's. So if Facebook are there telling you that it's all about the user experience, then you should be also all about the user experience. And this is what the graduation framework is all about, creating value for the user first. I see so many accounts where people jump straight into a website conversion campaign or a mobile app install, and they're just going for the kill. It's just like, from a marketing point of view, it's insane to go on your first date and ask your date to marry you. It just doesn't work like that. I mean, maybe if you're George Clooney or someone like that, then you might get away with it. But for 99.99% of us who are not George Clooney, we cannot do that. I can't, at least. I need quite a few dates to convince someone. That aside, it's all about nurturing the relationship and building that journey in to taking someone from a cold prospect into someone who's actually wanting to buy your product. So it's being product aware to being ready to buy. And this is what creating value for the user first is all about. So if you haven't seen this creative before, it's from Facebook. It's basically the kind of building blocks of how the auction works. So the technicalities are, you have the advertiser bid, so you can control that through auto or manual. The estimated action rate, so that's based on the objective that you're pushing forward. The optimized pixel, if it's relevant for that objective. but then they're also weighting the user value. And this is what this graduation framework is all about. What makes up the user value? There's a number of different things. So targeting relevance. If you are doing super broad targeting to everyone in the US, you've got a couple of 100 million people within that, how relevant can you really be? Now, if your pixel is optimized and it's got lots of history behind it, you've been running a store or a website for 2-3 years, then there's a good chance that Facebook will find the people that you're after. But actually, if you can start to layer targeting on top, it will give you a better chance of serving the right creative to the right person. And that's what this second part is about on ad relevance. So getting your targeting right plus making the ad relevant is crucial to cutting through in the auction. So let's take a beauty product, for example. You could target the whole of one country, and you might say this is just females only, and I'm just going to push this out there. And even if your pixel is optimized and it's been running for years and picked up lots of data, if your product has a different appeal to younger women versus older women, just splitting it by age and then splitting the message has such a big impact on performance. So if you're selling some kind of beauty facial product and for young women it helps them to remain looking young, for older women it makes their skin feel younger, then all of a sudden you've got two creative angles to play with. So now rather than going after every single woman in the US or any country, you can now split that by, let's say, 20 to 40-year-olds, 40 plus, I don't know, I'm just making these splits up and I hope you're not offended by that at all. But the key thing here is splitting your audience to make sure the ad and the creative is as relevant as possible. That makes such a huge difference to your click-through rate, your cost per click, and your website conversion as well. So they're all the key things that come together to give you the best performance. The third part of this is landing page experience. So if you're running a lead gen ad on Facebook, you're keeping people in Facebook, or you're using mobile app install, there's different aspects of the landing page experience that come in play. But if you've got a website, then it's all about how long does it take your page to load. Facebook does take this into account because that affects the user value. If someone lands on your site and it takes 2-3 seconds to load and different elements are loading, people are just going to leave, which leads on to the next important part, which is the bounce rate. Facebook does track the bounce rate and attributes that back into the auction as well. So if people land on your site and it's a completely different message to the one that you had in your ad, and there's a disconnect, there's no congruency between your ad and your landing page, people will bounce back into Facebook, and Facebook measure that as a negative signal against your ad as well. So making sure your landing page is on point is so important as well. And then the kind of sales funnel experience. So Facebook will be able to tell how long people spend on your site. They'll be able to tell how many pages they go through, which page they fall off, how many times they've visited. Just think about it for a second. You have installed your pixel on your website, and more than likely you've got that pixel installed on every single page on your website. Whatever happens on your website, whatever Google Analytics picks up, Facebook has access to that as well. So Facebook will know whether you're running an ad or not at that moment in time, exactly who is on your website and what they're looking at. Now, if you flip that around to a competitor, for example, and let's say you're selling garden furniture, Facebook will know which people are looking at garden furniture on your competitor's site. So when you do a lookalike audience and you say, I want people like this, and here's my site, it's garden furniture, and this is the optimized pixel. This is how Facebook are so good with their lookalikes. It's not just the data you put in, it's the data that they've got, and they match all of that together. So making sure your sales funnel experience is as strong as possible will give all the positive signals back to Facebook, and then it will give you a better chance of winning the auction. And that all comes back together around the relevance score. So the graduation framework is all about giving you the best chance of success when you're starting to optimize and scale up your spend and your performance by getting it right at the start. So how do you maximize the user experience? There's two parts of the graduation framework which I will be expanding out into separate videos. The first part is audience spotlighting. Audience spotlighting is being able to find the right audiences that are going to resonate with your creative. The creative fishing strategy is finding creatives that are going to work best with your audience. So let's say you've got an established website, an established Facebook account, and you have some audiences that are working, let's say a 2% lookalike of all your customers, and you're experiencing creative fatigue, and you know you need to refresh up your creatives. Most people would then start to test new creatives out. This graduation framework is all about being 2 steps ahead. So it's about having audiences and creatives ready for you when you need them. So there's no waiting around and saying, you know, I now need a creative for this, it's expired out. What you want to be doing is, through the graduation framework, be testing in the background. There should be no reason at all that you are never testing anything on Facebook. So your testing should literally be 7 days of the week. You should be testing creative, maybe once, twice a week, maybe a new audience every few weeks. But there should always be something in the pipeline, because you'll know if you spend any money on Facebook, it is so unpredictable at times. You know, I've been doing this since 2012, 2013. And even I find there are days and weeks where it's like, what is going on here? It's just so unpredictable, because Facebook is an auction system and there's so many external factors behind what goes on. So you don't know when an audience is all of a sudden going to go and have a hissy fit. You don't know when your creative is going to start to fatigue, when you know it's been running really well for weeks. Now all of a sudden something's happened and it's no longer performing. So be 1 step ahead with the graduation framework. And actually, how does it relate to the rest of the course? It's all about filtering through to your growth engine. So as part of this course, you'll go through the graduation framework and then start to understand how that trickles down into your main campaigns, and then how you start to optimize the performance in your main campaigns and be in a position to scale up. One of the other failures I see from many accounts is people are trying to scale up without having valid data behind their existing performance. And so the graduation framework supports that by doing testing in small amounts in the kind of the way I prefer to do it, with a page post engagement campaign, and we'll touch on that in the separate modules. And then you kind of push that into your main campaigns once you've got some valid data, start to optimize, maybe cut ads that are not performing, start to increase your budgets, and then you're in a position to scale up. And that's the most profitable way to scale up, and the most predictable as well, which is a big core part of this course. So I hope you do spend the time going through the graduation framework and understand it and ask questions as you go through it, because this is a key part of being profitable and being able to scale a Facebook ads account.